because it's them using this kind of interesting approach that User Tribe has as well.
But at this stage, you had a beta version of Whaii, yep? So you could show some of them.
We had I would call it a prototype, not an MVP but a prototype. So the screens were there and some of the functions were working, but not everything was connected, you know. So we could show them something and they could get an idea of what we were trying to do. And then as we progressed in the development, we of course invited them in again, and we kind of, you know, iterated back and forth during the development process so that they could give us continuous feedback. So we tried to develop it in an agile way, you know. So we had development sprints, and whenever we had a new sprint that was based on this kind of feedback from customers. So we implemented the feedback and then interviewed them again and then iterated and kept on going like that. So that was a very good way for us to do it.
Yeah, I totally agree, because it makes sense to validate first of all a prototype instead of building a software. And I was wondering, did you pre-sell your product during these presentations, or you just collected a feedback and the willingness to buy once you'll be ready?
I think we didn't sell enough. we were so interested in the feedback, but if I look back now, I would have pressed harder for them to kind of, you know, come on, let's commit to using this software when we're done with it, so that we could have even more commitment with these test customers and even more or even better traction when we decide to go out into the market. Because as you know, from when we released it early this year and up until now, a lot of the time has been kind of in Corona land, and that hasn't helped sales very much, right? So I wish we have had that early traction with these customers by being more aggressive on the sales pitch during development as well. But there you go. You live and you learn. So.
And I wanted to ask you, maybe you can share some tip or script, what was your approach to, besides what you have mentioned, besides your network, which is obvious, you can leverage your network, your connections, and that company that provided you your data, how did you generate meetings? So did you use LinkedIn and send emails or connection requests? And if yes, what type of, what your message looked like? What did you say to them?
Yeah.
Well, I come from the IT business previously, and I'm pretty new within HR. So what I've been doing from the beginning is trying to build out my connections within HR. So I've sent out a lot of invitations, and they're pretty much based on my genuine interest in getting to know more people within HR. So it was seeking inspiration and just being able to connect with people within HR. And a lot of people have fortunately been open to that. So I've grown the network quite a bit. And then if I have seen some way of beginning a meaningful dialogue with some of these contacts, then I've written a message to them where there's a certain agenda. So that could, for instance, in the early days have been, you know, testing of the software, and now it's more perhaps in relation to we are seeking new customers. Would you be willing to consider us in your recruitment process? And so then there's a lot of variations, you know. You try different things. When you don't get a response, you immediately feel, oh, was that the wrong way of doing it? Let's try another one. And so you always try to do things a little bit differently. But a lot of messages back and forth, and I don't know what a good hit rate is on LinkedIn, but it's I think maybe around 30-40% of the invitations have been accepted, and then maybe I guess maybe around 10% of them have ended up in some meaningful dialogue that could lead into a potential customer at some point. So yeah.
Nice.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you, Andre.
Can you guys hear me? Andre, we can't hear you.
I'm sorry, I just muted myself and forgot to unmute. Yeah. Can you please share with us your current level of revenue and team size?
Well, we're still only the two founders in our company who are full-time, and then we've outsourced everything, and we've actually done that from the very beginning. So we outsourced the development and we outsourced the online marketing parts, and then we've kind of, you know, direct sales and everything else around product and strategy and stuff like that we've done ourselves, but we outsourced everything else. So in total, I think we have a team of maybe around 10 people involved that had helped create, develop, or market, or in some way help us to create the solution. And because we have targeted the very largest companies in Denmark, there's a really long sales cycle. So we've only reached the phase where we have a lot of test customers that are using the product and testing it, but we have no signed contracts yet. So basically our revenue is zero at this point. So it's as early as it can be.
Got it. But anyway, you have test customers, let's say leads at the moment, not customers, which is also a good sign. And just let's make an assumption. What MRR or deal value do you expect from customers, from one of these customers?
Yeah, well, I guess this depends on which segment we're talking about. Of course, when we're talking about SMB customers, that could vary quite a bit. And I guess from the budgets that we have put in, they could be around somewhere around maybe 2,000 to 5,000 euros per year in revenue from SMB customers. And SMB for us is defined customers around 200 employees and up to around 1,000 employees. So that's the SMB range we're talking about. And then the enterprise customers, which in the ones that we're targeting here in Denmark is around, you know, roughly around 2,000 employees and upwards. Most of them are 10,000 plus employees. And there we're talking more about like maybe around 250,000 euros per year for most of them. So depending on the volume of applicants that they have, and that varies quite a bit. But that's the expected revenue. Cool.
One question: did you acquire Carlsberg already? As a customer?
I didn't hear that. Sorry.
Carlsberg. Did you acquire Carlsberg as a customer already?
It's funny that you're asking because I have a meeting with them tomorrow.
So
send them this video. Send them the video. It's recorded.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Fingers crossed for your success.
Yeah, I hope that as well. Yeah.
Guys didn't know. Podcast hosts didn't know about it, but they're wondering. Yeah. Cool. I wish you'll close this deal. Okay. Another question I wanted to ask: at what stage you decided to outsource development? Was it from early beginning or at some particular stage? And the next question, from your point of view, what are the benefits of outsourcing versus growing in-house team?
Well, for me, the two questions are actually linked, because the reason why we decided to outsource was because that we didn't know from the beginning which technologies we would use in our technology stack. And for using the linguistic analysis and making the machine learning and building the algorithms and so on, we didn't know which platform technology-wise that we would do it on. And so it was hard for us to go out and look for a developer with a particular skill set, because what if that wasn't the right skill set? After a month or 2 months of work, then we had to let that person go and find a new one. So we decided to be more flexible there and have some people involved with different skill sets. And then when we knew what kind of technology we were using, then we said to ourselves, then we might hire the right person to come into the team. But actually, it's been working so well with the outsourcing that we haven't decided to hire any developers yet. But we would like to make an in-house team. But I think the right timing for us would be when we have the first, let's say 10 or 20 customers, and we have kind of, a good traction around revenue. I think then we might consider building our internal team. But the outsourcing has actually worked very well for us.
Great.
Michael, I have a question. What channel? So since you're using an outsourced team, right? The connection with the product is kind of strong. How do you keep the connection with the product? So they always deliver the right offer. Because okay, just answer the question.
Yeah. Well, basically the agile method kind of made sure of that, because we were so much in touch, having stand-ups every morning and playbacks every Friday, and continuous dialogue every day. It was kind of hard not to be in sync, and we actually also decided from the very beginning, to have we didn't start coding right away. We actually started kind of making sure that we understood exactly what our needs were and what the fears and hopes and all of that in the project was, together with the developers, so that they had an understanding and a journey together with us that led up to actually a common decision on what is it that we're going to develop here. So when we actually started developing, everybody had a clear sense of where we were going. So that made sure that even though they were external persons, that they actually had a very good idea and almost felt, as dedicated to the project as we did, because we used maybe 2 weeks upfront, not coding anything, but just making sure that we decided on the right things from the beginning. So that, I think,